I'm going to talk on behalf of the office Inside Outside, founded by Petra Blaise, about the Biennale project that we did for the Architecture Biennale in Venice. And we wanted to focus on one project because it has many elements in it that we think is interesting to share with you. Actually, the Ole Bouwman, the former head of the Architecture Institute of Rotterdam, asked us to design something that had to do with beauty. And we said beauty, that's for us, it's never always about beauty. It's not a challenge for us to have that as the only question. And we need to solve technical issues and have a deep understanding of what's happening. And if it's beautiful, we're lucky. But it's not at first our goal, let's say, in the first instance. So instead, we really wanted to kind of connect to the theme of reuse of vacant buildings. And also by kind of stressing the fact that it could be done with really simple interventions and in an economic way. We're in the middle of the crisis around that time. And it was also a continuation of the vacant NL theme that Rietveld Landscape did a year earlier and currently known as RAF. Where they showed, let's say, a scene of all the empty buildings that were in the Netherlands. And we elaborated on this subject, kind of also connecting on the common ground theme that was curated by David Chipperfield at that time. And we really highlighted the critical view of how the economy is expected to grow and keep on growing all the time. We really, also as an office, we really try to question our clients also about that fact. And can we just focus on reusing existing buildings and just stop building new buildings for a while? Can we just keep on doing that? And it's peculiar that now, in the time that we're now, that the crisis is a bit, in Europe, a bit kind of passé, and we are kind of rebuilding again, especially in the Netherlands, while actually the economy is still not healthy, as we all know. So I think we all in this room share those thoughts about that. And actually much of the built environment is really screaming for a new imagination, a new boost of projects. And our given context this time was a Dutch pavilion in Giardini, designed by Rietveld, and which was actually made as an exhibition space, but for a sporadic use, because it's a house of art and performance when it's active, but abandoned and really silent for a really long time of the year, actually. And we really wanted to do an intervention that kind of dealt with this abandonedness of the building while not being in use. And we thought that we wanted to transform it, but also keep having a dialogue with the building itself. So, of course, we gathered information about the history and the entire historically and cultural loaded context that surrounded it. And we saw that it was possible within this shape actually to reset everything with one single gesture, And first we stripped the room bare. We kind of took away the 1,000 blinds that were on the ceiling, kind of changed all the windows, all the dark windows into more transparent windows in this 4-meter grid building, allowing us to connect more to the outside world. Also to open up the building a bit more and expanding its limits, also in terms of use. Because we question, should it always be a museum, and could it also be, could it have a chance to become something else? A dance floor, a chapel, for example. And, but how could we reuse this space and transform it in a way that it could also become a circular one, rectangular, diagonal, really a more dynamic space itself. So this search was a really playful one. For a few weeks, we kind of imagined all different connections and their visions and how to symbolize as many rooms as possible within one space. And actually, we discovered that the sliding curtain is one of the strongest tools that we could do to achieve this effect that we wanted to make. And our intervention also was an automatically moving curtain that explored all the possibilities of this empty existing space. But the challenge was, I mean, experience-wise, we knew what we wanted, but it was also a really technical one, because the restriction of the format of textiles, and also we really said to ourselves we wanted that it existed out of one single curtain, one single textile element. So we calculated the design in such a way that each position formed a recognizable, clear shape, and actually constantly searching for the perfect loop, the continuous loop with the biggest effect within that space. And this continuously moving element took 20 minutes to stroll through the interior, and resulting in 12 positions that also symbolized the 12 hours of the day and 12 hours of the night. I'll come back to that about the light. And we reconfigured this organization in multiple rooms, and actually the whole time with the main theme of how to show the potential of the space itself. And I think this is actually an exercise that could be made in all buildings. And this effect of movement was exaggerated also by the choice of different textiles that really overlapped each other. So we had 3 different kinds, around closed velvet, and then one kind of voile in different, an alternation of white and black. And actually, because it encountered themselves, the white really made the pink behind much softer, and the black made it much brighter. And this play was also a play of hues. We also made circular windows that cross in front of each other, one transparent one, and one closed and opaque, really creating an obstruction in front of each other. And the third textile that really was the big reflecting, let's say, light-catching textile that reflected all its surrounding colors. And within these elements of big size, of each 16 meters length, we wanted to also, of course, connect to the scale of the architecture itself. And it's actually an expertise that we've been working on for years, but also to really create this dialogue. But of course, it's a protected monument, and how to deal with that. And we were not allowed to touch the ceiling at all. So the entire rail construction had to be, let's say, attached to the existing wooden lattices work that were holding the blinds that we took off, so we could use that. And actually, we really fell in love with these drawings of the technical team that joined us, kind of in a really simple way, showing how to construct it and the complexity of it. And actually, everything was floating under Rietveld's roof, and of course, taking into account that it was bearable, all bearable. And we worked together with a German track designer, a big track designer, who also did it for the first time, because we used the simple, actually, bicycle chain that we all know as the base, so it could kind of loop. And we also wanted to really show the beauty of all these elements, keeping it clear. The rails, the drive wheels, really low-tech connections, and really cutting the cost in all senses the whole time, how to keep it doable. And with one of the 6 motors that were connected. But of course, inside outside, the name says it all. We're always trying to kind of make and kind of blend the connection between the inside and outside, and how to do that in this building that actually we could not kind of touch that much, and how to bring the outside world in. And one of the things that we partly did was control the light, the sunlight, which happens to be really present in Venice. And we directed the light inside the pavilion with kind of tilted mirrors, and so that the light that entered from west to the east was a natural one, but the light that enters from the east to the west was a really controlled one, and a kind of scenography that we wanted to create, and not only reflecting the light, but also the weather conditions, the clouds onto the floor and ceiling. And yeah, the importance of light in this intervention was a huge one, because actually the pavilion was never seen like this. was the first time it was so open. And it created beautiful light and shadow play in different ways. But this is for the designing is concerned, but and for the light is concerned. But a primitive installation is also should be connected to a primitive sound. We wanted this whole installation to be an experience, a total experience. We didn't get to the smell part, but we wanted to make a sound. So there was one of the builders of the installation. While having lunch, we were discussing this idea, and he said, "Well, I'm a composer of modern classical music, classical music." So he came up with a kind of Tangli kind of structure to first, which we said, well, oh, no, that's not actually how we see it. We really want that it should not be in your face. It should be something that you experience. So afterwards, he really came with this kind of sticks sticking out that made sound while it passed through random collected construction elements that he had in his atelier. So, and he also kind of sporadically spread them in the room. And then we got the sound that we wanted, because actually the German track designer was so perfect that actually the whole chain was not making any sound at all. It was like a zzz. So in this way, we could challenge that. So the textile shifted in the room, and it stayed 90 seconds in each position to be able to experience it, to walk around it. And then it continues to another position and filtering the areas and the space behind it, and taking possession of the building and creating it into a completely straight one, playing with the light and making sensuous curves, but also sharp curves. And varying the character of and form of the space. So we had, I must say, lots of also fun trying to get these different feelings, how to create intimacy within the movement that really gets close to you, but also opens up at a certain moment, creating different rooms from large to small, from light to dark, and reshaping its original space, and creating views along the way, and always catching the light. And it was actually interesting to see how the reactions were really different. It also depended on the culture of the people that were there, but people really entering really had to get used to the fact that there was this moving element, and of course you can imagine there were many moments that it also came to them directly, so they had to find a way to position themselves. And actually this parallel dance, because of a loop, the curtains kind of trespass in front of each other, creating endless moments actually, and really changing the personality of this interior building. And then back to the outside, it's really our obsession indeed, how to get in somehow, how to get the outside inside. And we introduced these reflective strips to the plinth, so the garden could actually enter through the building, and allowing the building also to get a bit lighter for a moment, let's say, for a change, for once. And also similar interventions we did on the stairs, resembling water, kind of a water glare, and floating signage with the same font of the building, but then rescaled, keeping everything light as possible. And in reaction to many museums and many kind of what's happening in the Venice Biennale, all this overload of information, we really wanted to just actually show one drawing of all the positions at the entrance, and that was actually the only explanation in the space, and the rest was all experience. And I would like to shift to the movie, for you also to experience some of what happened back then. So unlike a museum, we don't filter the light, and we don't guide the visitors, but it's all about this experience within this building. So we didn't exhibit at the Biennale, we didn't place objects in it and also didn't organize the activities, but actually we tried to kind of reset the building's senses, all its senses, so the scale, the color that it has, the sound and the texture, all with the choreography of this curtain. And the project is also a reaction, or it kind of also deals with time. The fact that it's sometimes really good to just take the time to experience something. Yeah, in this currently world, we're kind of snapping from one image to the other one. How to, yeah, really let that experience get to you. And actually the shift, what you see here, that it comes in front of each other, really sometimes splits the curtain in something else. So you really had to kind of look what was happening exactly. So it disappeared and it came back. And this sharpness, it was possible because of the bicycle chain. And many people also ask, why pink? Why pink? And it's actually because it's so not Rietveld, we wanted to experiment with it. What would happen if such a pink glow would kind of glow on the walls of the interior. And the fact actually that it's a continuous moving object, it really frees us from architecture, from static architecture. And we thought, well, look what architecture or interior architecture can do in its static way. But yet, even though we wanted to react to it, it expresses a lot of architectural language, like the transparency and the opaqueness, the horizontal divisions and the vertical divisions, the fuse and the obstruction, the reflecting surfaces and the absorbent surfaces. There you have the mechanical sound. It comes back. It was also nice actually that the object crossed social interactions, and suddenly people were talking, and suddenly this curtain divided them or brought them back together. And that was also a play that we really enjoyed watching, how sometimes that happened. And children played a lot. It really activated to play a sense of walking around it, making circles or getting behind it. So as an office, we don't do architecture, but actually everything that surrounds architecture, from the inside or the outside, and or almost touches it. And normally, of course, our counterparts, our clients, are architects, because they asked us to do something in their buildings. And this time, I mean, the architect long passed away, so we tried to, nevertheless, even if he was not there, we kind of started a new conversation with the building, and also tried to give his creation, let's say, new sparks of life with this intervention. Thank you very much.